Hey everyone, welcome back to Audrey Kramer Coaching. If you are new here, I am so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I wanted to talk about social awareness. Now, this is a pretty big topic because it's really hard to do well. You know how sometimes there are those people that they walk into a room or they just look at you and they go, I can see your aura and it's purple or blue or whatever. Or somebody that can just walk in and gauge the feeling of a room and know exactly what's going on. It sure would be nice to be able to do that, but we can't all do that, right? So, how do we build social awareness? Well, first of all, what is social awareness? Social awareness is basically just recognizing and understanding the moods of other people. Now, you can see why this would be important, right? We do this every day in our relationships with others and at work and at the gym and at the grocery store. We're constantly trying to figure out what's going on in the world around us and how other people are feeling so that we know how to act ourselves, right? This isn't an easy thing to do. It's actually really, really difficult. And you don't want to be unprepared for this. Having a lack of social awareness is basically like bringing a stapler to a cooking competition. It really doesn't matter what gets thrown your way. You're not going to be prepared for it unless you're stapling recipes together, and that's only going to go so far. So, today I wanted to share with you 3 tips that you can use to improve your social awareness, thereby increasing your emotional intelligence and setting you up for success. Tip 1, body language, learning how to read it. This is so important, and it gets talked about in a lot of different ways, but it can be absolutely critical being able to sense how somebody's feeling just by the way that they're standing or their eye contact, or if they have their arms crossed around their chest or something like that. I had an employee one time when I was a manager, and he walked into my office, just kind of a good morning check in, and he just looked kind of off. And I asked him, hey, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, everything's fine. It's Monday, and I'm not happy to be at work because it's a Monday. And I could have just said, okay, cool, which I did, but then I followed it up with, are you sure? And he's like, yep, it's just Monday. And I'm like, okay, cool. But if you want to talk, I'm here. Like, my door is open. Come on in. And I kid you not, later that day, it was only a couple hours later, he walked in and he was like, hey, how did you know that I wasn't doing okay? And I'm like, oh, just kind of seemed like something was off. And he actually started expressing all of these concerns to me about money and caring for his family. And so we sat down and kind of made a plan for how to move forward and how to set him up for success. So being able to read that is actually pretty critical, especially if you're in a leadership role. Now, I do want to caution a couple of different things. One, take into consideration the person that you're talking to. For example, when I don't feel good, my leg just starts twitching. Sometimes it's really small and subtle. Sometimes it's really big if I'm really uncomfortable. But there aren't a lot of people that know that. Like, my fiance knows that, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. So if they notice my leg twitching, they'll just kind of give me this look like, you good? And I'm like, yeah, I just need to breathe, or I just need a minute. It's fine. But they know that I'm not feeling well. If I were in a meeting with a bunch of other people and I started twitching my leg, most people probably wouldn't notice. And the other few people would have no idea what that means. They might think I'm anxious and I want to get out of the room early. They may think I just have extra energy that I'm burning off, or that I just can't sit still. And any of those things could be true. So it's really important to know the person that you're talking to know those little idiosyncrasies. The other thing I want to caution is that this is very cultural and also sometimes neurotypical, right? Like, people say if someone's making direct eye contact with you, that is a sign of trust. You can trust that person. They're being honest with you. But a lot of neurodivergent people don't like making direct eye contact. It's really uncomfortable. So they may have trained themselves to be able to do that, but they might need a break afterwards. Or it may be culturally a sign of respect that they're not making eye contact with you. So again, there's lots of different factors to take into consideration. So you just need to be aware of who you're talking to so that you can be set up for success. Tip number 2, Be present. This is so hard because our minds like to tell us stories about everything that's going on around us, everything that's happened in the past, and it likes to think about everything that's going to happen in the future. So we need to just take that time to slow down and be present. This can look a lot of different ways. So, one way that we can be present is really focusing on active listening. Active listening, if you're not familiar with it, is basically listening to understand and not listening to respond. I still do this from time to time. I'll get halfway through a conversation with somebody and my brain just does the autofill thing. Like, I know what they're going to say next, and I need to cut them off before they get to this very incorrect point. But I've learned to just kind of slow down, stop that little part of my brain and say, okay, I hear you. I'm going to hold on to that thought, but I'm also going to let them finish their thought. And I'm going to really tune in and listen to what they have to say and why they're saying it. And actually, a lot of the times I'm wrong about where they were going with the conversation. And so there are things that I would have said that I don't actually need to say. And this is really important because it builds relationships with people for them to know that you're actually listening to them and not just saying whatever it is that you feel like you need to get off your chest in that moment. So really be present with them and listen just to listen to understand the points that they're trying to make and really hear things from their perspective, which is very difficult to do. Another thing is try not to let these stories take over, right? We're so good at trying to make meaning of everything all of the time. And this can get in the way. For example, I was at work one day and my boss came in and my boss was not very happy. My boss tried to print something on the printer and the printer wasn't working and they got really grumbly and cursing and not very happy. And I thought I had done something wrong. Clearly they're mad because I did something to make them angry and I need to lay low and not step on their toes and I need to work extra hard to make sure that I'm making them happy and that I am showing myself as a good employee. And I kind of stopped for a second. I was like, wait a minute. Is this actually about me? Let me think about the whole context of the situation. It was a Monday. It was right after a weekend. This particular person liked drinking a little bit. So maybe they had a hangover. Maybe they just weren't feeling well. Maybe they and their spouse got into an argument the night before. Who knows? It could have been 8 million different things, right? But my brain latched onto this one particular story as the true story. So take a step back. Just become an observer, which kind of leads me to the last little bit of being present. Is really get into mindfulness. Be an observer of everything going on around you without judgment. That is the hard part. We have a need to sort and label and organize and say, this is good, this is bad. Any of those things that help us to categorize and make sense and make meaning. So if we can take those labels off and just observe and say, okay, this is this, this is this, this is happening in front of me. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. And just take the whole judgment piece out and just really be present and observant and let that kind of be your guide to what's going on around you. And the third tip I have for you today is entertain yourself. Watch a movie, read a book, listen to some music, go see some theater. And I cannot stress this enough how important this is because it really gives you a window into what the other person is thinking and how they're feeling, right? That's kind of the whole point of movie scripts and directing the way that they direct and the actors portraying characters in the way that they do to make them relatable and to give you a sense of how somebody else might be feeling and the circumstances surrounding that. Movies are great because you get to see the body language of it all and how it's portrayed with facial expressions and the furrowing of the brow or the hand on the forehead or jumping up and down excitement or all of those little visual cues. Additionally, books are really good for this because you get to hear the thoughts going on inside the character's head. You get to see all of those little descriptive pieces and read the words that are associated with that and get that inner monologue that they're having to give you context of why they might be feeling that way. So, any of those entertainment pieces, watching a movie, reading a book, going to the theater, any of those things can help give you really great insight into other people and building that social awareness. All right, guys, those are my 3 tips for helping you build social awareness. Again, this is just another skill to help you improve your emotional intelligence. I got a lot of these tips from Emotional Intelligence 2.0, which is really a wonderful read and it's been super helpful. It's got a lot of background information, it's got a lot of tips and tricks. And these are the ones that I've actually done a lot of myself. So I am definitely promoting those. If you're looking for something on that tip 3, entertain yourself, my friend Lacey actually wrote a book, Prophecy of Blood and Flames, and it has wonderful perspectives from all the different characters. And it's a really, really great read. This is actually the first book in a trilogy, and she will be putting out the second book sometime soon. So you should follow her on social media. I will put a link to that in the comments. You can get her book on Amazon, actually. She's doing a really great job. And she is accepting applications relatively soon, I think, for advanced readers for her next novel. So if you get a chance to read this and you like it and you want to be a part of the advanced reader crew, definitely go check her out. She is wonderful. The book is wonderful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're looking for more information on emotional intelligence, I have a couple more videos that I will put on the screen so that you can go visit and check those out. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, please feel free to subscribe. There's a button down below. Other than that, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows that it's amazing content. We're getting there. We're getting there. I am working on my editing skills and all of that. So hopefully as we go on and on, these videos get better and better. If you have something that you want me to cover in the next topic or series of topics, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, comments, absolutely leave those and I will do my best to get back to you. And we'll see you guys in the next one.